Welcome back to Trivial Thursdays. Thank you for tuning into the show. I am delighted to welcome our next guest. Before I do, Matt Gibson is here of the Singletary Center, the director of the Singletary Center for the Arts. And it's, how you doing, Matt? Nice to see you.
Doing great. Thanks for having me on, Mick.
Absolutely. I think we're both excited about the same thing, which is Tortoise. You've got Tortoise coming to the Singletary Center,
That's
which is
right.
pretty fantastic. And we are having an opportunity here to talk to John McEntire. He's the drummer, producer, and founding member of Tortoise, the Chicago band that helped define post rock with its mix of electronic, jazz, and minimalist textures. He's also a key member of the Sea and the Cake, or excuse me, the Sea and Cake. Um, and earlier played with Louisville connected bands Bastro and Gastro del Sol, which was a connection to Louisville's groundbreaking experimental music scene. Um, Through his music and his Chicago studio, Soma Electric Music Studios, John McEntire has collaborated with countless artists and helped shape 3 decades of innovative, independent music. Welcome to Trivial Thursdays, John McEntire.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Now we're talking to you from Portland, right? We're not in
Correct.
Portland.
Yeah. Mhm.
And Portland is that's where you grew up. Your early years, you grew up in Portland, right?
That's right. Yep. Yep.
Do you remember how it is that what drew you to music in the first place in your younger days?
Wow. That's deep.
and
I
and
don't know.
broad
I
too.
mean, when I was a little, I just remember as a child, like just being fascinated with the sounds that came out of the radio in the car, stuff like that. And my parents weren't big music people. They had, some records, mostly like classical and jazz and blues and stuff like that. But yeah, it just I had the bug from the beginning and had to scratch that itch somehow.
Well, and then apparently that landed you in music school. You went to Oberlin in Ohio. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hmm.
So things must have gotten a little more sophisticated there. Were you playing punk rock early on in Portland, or was that never necessarily your
I
your
was.
thing?
I mean, I kind of had this sort of parallel trajectory at, because I went to Oberlin as uh, majoring in percussion, as a performance major. So I had been studying classical music privately for many, many years. But at the same time, I was playing in um, hardcore bands as a teenager. So it was a bit of an odd confluence of things.
It's not that. So it is an odd confluence, possibly, but it's also one that we're kind of familiar with here in
Yeah,
Kentucky
yeah.
because of a variety of your collaborators in the Louisville music scene in the 1980s and 90s, where they had a habit. Bands like Rodan and Slint, Gastro del Sol, even
Hmm.
what I might in I think steal this a little bit from whoever produced the Pixies movie, a loud, quiet, loud sort of situation.
Yeah, yeah.
And some of those guys did sort of the same thing. They had people who were beginning in like Squirrel Bait and these early very loud bands, and then kind of moving on to. And I've sort of joked with David Grubbs about this, who you played with in Gastro del Sol,
Hmm.
about the Louisville people and maybe you and your people becoming maybe fatigued by by the volume and going in the opposite direction. That's probably a intense oversimplification.
You're not wrong, though. I mean, I think that was a big part. I think you spoke with David about this. A big part of the transition from Bastro to Gaster del Sol um, was just like, okay, we've been playing at 11 for like, you know, almost all of our teenage years. Maybe we can try to do something a little bit different now. And that's what happened. And it's good that you brought up Rodan and adjacent project, Rachel's, because I would put
Yes,
that in the same camp for sure. Yeah.
Rachel's was amazing. I saw them several
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
And Rachel's was, again, maybe the epitome of this. And I don't mean to talk about Louisville, Kentucky musicians, but you have such a tie to them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
Rachel's was such an epitome of this in some ways, because that was a band that, for anyone who maybe saw them in their earliest incarnations, left scratching their head. So what happened to my what happened to my Rodan? What, uh,
Hmm.
we've on to
Exactly. Yeah.
two violas and this intensely sort of classical leaning music.
Yeah.
Um, chamber pop is something
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
which is a term that I would put up there with post rock as one of the terms, maybe meaning, I'm not really sure what either term means. You've been being
Right.
called post rock since the get go, and maybe Tortoise and your music was the original post rock music. I'm not sure, but what does post rock mean to you, and are you tired to death of that term, by the way?
What do you think?
I could take a guess, but that might deep six my question.
So it's no, 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 it's all good. So yeah, I mean, well, you sort of, I'm sure you know the origin story. It was, you're familiar with the journalist Simon Reynolds, who wrote for the
Yes.
Wire magazine? Yeah. So he kind of came up with that term, I believe, in like maybe even before he was talking about the early bands on Too Pure, like Pram and
Hmm.
early Stereolab. So he came up with that term, I think in like 94, 93, 94. And then it just got stuck onto us like pretty immediately. And we've always pushed back against it because, you know, it doesn't really mean anything
Hmm.
other than that we're eclectic, um, and that we don't really consider any genre important. But yeah, but this is my joke now is that we just have to own it and be like, oh yeah, like, and if somebody comes up on the street, it's like, oh, you're a musician, what do you play? And I'll just say post rock. We invented it, you know.
With that little bit of sharpness there on the edge.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I mean, probably I would imagine that you, like many musicians, don't really enjoy the sort of genre terms anyway. These were mostly kind of cooked up by people like me, writers and whatnot, to sort of, I don't know, give people some vague sense of what they may or may not be listening to.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, when pressed on it, like I would like to say that our music is progressive, but not in the sense of prog, because we know what prog is. It's Yes and King Crimson, etc. But I think that, as it likens to politics, it's like we're trying to move forward and be embracing new ideas constantly, progressive, but obviously we can't use that word anymore.
I was going to say, you mentioned King Crimson. If we're going to get into that, we may need another hour in the show.
Yeah.
Um, let's say John McEntire is here from Tortoise, and as well as Matt Gibson. Matt, what possessed you to book Tortoise for Singletary Center for the Art Show in Lexington? This is our concert hall here at the University of Kentucky. It's a pretty swanky place. So you'll need to wear tails and a bow tie, I believe.
That's
Love
right.
it.
Yeah, black tie affair. Well, yeah, I've been a big fan of Tortoise for a long time and have presented some of the members, Doug McCombs and Jeff Parker, and some of their other projects. And so this just kind of felt like the right time, yeah, to bring the group in. It's part of our expansive sound series, which is like a subset of the programming at the Singletary Center, where we're presenting groups that are hard to define and kind of hard to put in those genre boxes. And so Tortoise fits that fantastically. Um, there's this like great percussive element to it that's really strong that kind of like we were saying, ties in with a lot of things that the School of Music is presenting. There's almost, it's not like a curricular direct connection, but it fits so well with a lot of the stuff that's going on in the school. But it's like this forward-thinking, really interesting stuff, and so I'm super excited to bring the group in, particularly on the heels of this brand new record. So, you know, creating this opportunity for folks in Kentucky to hear this new music as just one of very few U.S. dates. I think it's Chicago on the 11th, then Lexington on the 12th, 3 dates in New York, and that's the entire U.S. tour. So really excited to be doing it here.
And it's also nice since, again, I'm probably going to just be trotting all over this sort of Kentucky connection, but like it's nice for you guys to come here. I mean, I'm sure that Tortoise has played in Kentucky before. That seems impossible that you wouldn't have, but I'm not sure, and maybe not Lexington. Do you know?
Not Lexington, no. Only Louisville. Yeah.
Okay. And it's also, Matt, you mentioned the music program at UK. I don't think Jim Campbell is retired. I should know that, but the percussion section at the University of Kentucky has an incredibly rich history.
It does, yeah.
And
yeah.
I'm surprised that John hasn't been maybe roped into doing some sort of little mini classroom lecture. I'm not suggesting it, but I'm just saying that.
Yeah, Jim has retired,
Okay.
but his successor, Dr. Matthew Geiger, is a great percussionist, a great colleague. He's actually where we source drum kits and the vibraphone for the show. So yeah, the UK percussion department will be represented on stage at the concert.
That's Matt Gibson of the Singletary Center. He's joining me as we talk with John McEntire of Tortoise. And you mentioned the vibraphone. That's one of your core jams, I believe, right, John?
Yeah. When we started the group, we were essentially 2 drummers and 2 bass players. And then we eventually decided that we needed an instrument in the higher register, and we didn't necessarily want a guitar. So, and I had already been studying and playing the vibraphone, and John Herndon was also, and so that was just like made total sense at the time, and it became a really important voice in the group.
It is. It's like it seems to me like that's if I hear something and there's a vibraphone involved, one of my first, and I'm not sure who it is, the Tortoise may well be my first guess frequently. If it has that certain kind of sound.
Yeah.
There's this legato sort of vibraphone sound that you have contributed not just to Tortoise Records, but also I know that Movie Jail, who you worked with some right here in Lexington, very inspired by what you've done, and I think that you play on a couple of those tracks too. If I'm not mistaken.
That's right. Yeah.
Is it Porous Rock? I think is Porous Rock one of them, or I should know that off the top of my head. What song it is?
That sounds familiar. Yeah,
I think it is Porous Rock. Yeah. As a matter of fact, why don't we play some of that? So Movie Jail's opening the show, as well as an act with Bundy K. Brown, who is a longtime collaborator of yours too, right, John?
That's right. He was another founding member. Yeah.
Yeah. And is Bundy's his group is it based out of Louisville these days?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. So we're gonna take a quick break here, come back and visit a little bit more with John McEntire of Tortoise, and rather than first play a Tortoise song, we will play a Tortoise song from your new record. Here's a little something from Movie Jail. This is called Porous Rock from their EP called The Neighbors, I think is what it's called. And you can catch them opening along with Bundy K. Brown opening for Tortoise. And that is a week from, it's Wednesday, right?
Wednesday the 12th.
Yeah, Wednesday the 12th at the Singletary Center for the Arts. Stick around. We will be back. This is Trivial Thursdays on WRFL.
This portion of WRFL's programming is made possible in part by Greasy Art Supply. Greasy offers art supplies such as paints, pencils, sketchbooks, and more. Greasy is located at 138 DeWeese Street in Lexington. More information can be found at Greasy Art Supply on Instagram. WRFL thanks Greasy Art Supply for supporting college radio.
This is Trivial Thursdays. Welcome back to the show. That was Movie Jail with Porous Rock. And Movie Jail is opening for Tortoise at the Singletary Center as part of the Expansive Sound series on Wednesday, November 12th. Matt Gibson, the director of the Singletary Center, is here. And we're both, I think, delighted, if I can speak for Matt too, to be chatting with John McEntire of Tortoise from Portland. So thanks again for being on the show, John. Much appreciated.
Thanks again for having me. Yeah.
It might be, I was thinking about how it's not intended as a backhanded compliment for me to be talking to you and then playing another band, but they're one that you worked with. And do you remember any of the details about how that came about?
Not it's been a few years now. It was like deep in the pandemic. But I just remember really enjoying the project and working on it. And, I don't often get asked to play vibes as a session player. So that was really fun. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then I think that you were involved, the tracks that you play vibes on, am I correct that you were involved in mixing those too?
I mixed the record. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. And it's the first time I heard it, I was delighted. I was just so delighted by it. I demanded to know more because somehow it got under my radar and I was just like, where did this come from? So, now you, of course, Tortoise has a new record, your first record in 9 years, Touch is the new record. Not quite out yet. 2 or 3 tracks, I believe, out on the streamers.
Well, it's available physically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. It's and you can buy it from Bandcamp, but you just can't stream it on Spotify.
Right. As that becomes an increasingly sort of dicey proposition in some ways.
Well, we're trying to encourage people to buy physical product if possible, and also like go to the show because the record's going to be available there.
Yeah. So the new record Touch, this is I'm not really sure what, how many,
8th.
Your 8th record. Okay.
Yeah.
And how do you, when you've got this, you all have so many, the great thing about Tortoise is it's hard to know what the next record is going to sound like. and I wonder how it is that you all kind of, progress from one record to another. What was it that happens what happens on Touch that had not happened before, that was something that you wanted to explore, that called for a new album?
We never have any preset ideas. People just bring fragments of things in and we ruminate on them for long periods of time because we started work on this in 2021. And honestly, we probably could have finished it within a year, but due to people's schedules and just life in general, it took 4 years. But it's a process of like finding what these ideas might present and developing those and then taking away from what happens. And I don't know, it's just like a big editing scenario, basically. It's pretty hard to articulate how it works, but it somehow it does in the end. And when we get there, when we get to a place where we feel like it's finished, we know it's finished. But it's like I said, it's hard to articulate that process.
Well, you're kind of leading into my next question, which you may have answered to the best of your ability, but like, how do you know when something's finished? especially with a collective like this, does everyone have to agree? Is it a unanimous vote, or
Yeah,
how do you know when
yeah, yeah,
something's
yeah,
finished?
yeah. It's definitely unanimous. I mean, usually I mean, even when we get to something that we feel is finished, there might be a few revisions that will be minor, but I don't know. It's just like if everybody's in the room or like checking out stuff at home and they're like, okay, this is it. This is like definitive. Like, okay, cool. Let's go. Let's roll with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
Go
I
ahead,
was just
Matt.
going to jump in.
Yeah.
Please.
In talking to Jeff Parker when he was at the Singletary Center a couple years ago with the New Breed, we were talking a little bit about the Tortoise creative process, and I was really interested. He said it's like very democratic. You got to get everybody on the same page, and he acknowledged in that conversation how long it takes to actually like get to that point.
Yeah.
But I thought that was awesome. That it's not, it doesn't ever skew to being like any one person's kind of like vanity project. It seemed like it really is like a very collaborative thing, and maybe pay
Yeah.
the price in time in doing that, but that everyone's satisfied with the result, I think is yeah, like really significant.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, this record was not. Most of your previous records have been hatched sort of IRL, right, in real life with everyone together. This one was maybe handled a little bit long distance. Is that right?
Not really.
Oh no.
Yeah. I mean, what we've determined is that we can't really work remotely. I mean, we
Did you
can,
try?
well, we had made overtures to try, but never did. So the thing that was happening is that we just like book sessions in various studios and we'd all get together and like hash it out, you know. We would, I mean, maybe some demos would go back and forth, but not much, you know, beyond that, as far as remote work. But yeah, so we had 5 studio sessions over the course of those 4 years. And that's really when it all kind of came together, especially the last one in Chicago. That was at Electrical Audio. That was the for me that like put everything together, and then we mixed here at my place in Portland.
I was gonna say. So your place is. I was curious why you wouldn't have hatched this whole thing at your own studio at Soma Electronic Music Studios. What is it that gets you moving around to different places?
Well, I don't really, I mean, my situation right now is basically just a mix room, and
Okay.
I can do some limited overdubs and whatnot, but it's not a tracking situation here anymore. So yeah, that's why we worked at Tucker Martine's studio Flora here in Portland, and we did one session in LA at 64 Sound, and then like I said at Electrical in Chicago. But it's
John
nice for
Mackin.
me to walk into other studios and not have to think about maintenance and like why that compressor isn't working and channel 23, the EQ's bad, and you know all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that must be endless. I would assume that that's an
Yeah,
endless proposition with your own
true.
place.
Yeah.
John McEntire is here from Tortoise, and Matt Gibson of the Singletary Center. Tortoise playing at the Singletary Center on Wednesday, November 12th, along with Lexington's own movie jail and Bundy K. Brown. Um, is Bundy K. Brown have is that a name for that outfit, or is it Bundy K. Brown and the Bundy
I
K.
think
Brown
he's
Band?
billing himself as Jungle Boogie.
Jungle
Jungle
Boogie, that's
Boogie.
what it is. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so that do you all stay in touch? Have you Bundy was, as you said, a founding member of Tortoise. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So do you all still compare musical notes? And have you stayed? Has Bundy stayed in about the sort of trajectory that you might have expected, and have you stayed in about the trajectory that Bundy might have expected?
I don't know.
Well, it's such an exploratory way to approach music the way that you all do is the reason I
Yeah.
asked that.
Yeah.
But he hasn't switched to nobody switched over to like to girl pop or anything like that. Although you
Not
have
yet.
Now how did a while back, I think in 2016, I'm trying to remember the name of the record, but you had a record and you had singing on it, which kind of really surprised everybody. How did that go? You didn't keep putting singing on records. Maybe what was the impetus there for adding something that had never been a feature of Tortoise Records in the past?
Not a feature for sure, but we have had vocals on a few tracks. Maybe only a handful. But we knew that we wanted to do that cover of the David Essex song, Rock On.
Rock On, which is so cool and such a creepy song in the first place.
I know. It's amazing, right?
It really is.
Yeah. It's nuts that was sort of a minor hit because it is so weird. It really especially for like 1973 or whenever it came out. It's so weird. But yeah.
Is that what drew you to it?
Yeah, well, yeah, and then like the bass is tuned down to like a C sharp or a C or something. It's like so insanely low. And then we obviously we'd always been big fans of U.S. Maple and Dead Rider and Todd. We love Todd Rittman's delivery, and he just seemed like the perfect person for that. And then we had written that other sort of like kind of ballad thing, and we were scratching our heads and it was like, oh, obviously Georgia Hubley, perfect.
Viola Tango.
Yeah, Viola Tango, perfect candidate for that. Yeah.
Who was here last weekend, and
oh really?
Matt, you kind of dropped the ball, Matt. You could have grabbed her and thrown her in a closet and kept her for the Tortoise show.
Yeah, just hang around for 2 more weeks.
They played at Singletary?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
They played at Singletary, just about a week ago.
Okay.
And it was fantastic. Georgia and Ira and James, they were all great.
They're so great. Yeah, amazing.
John McEntire is here with us on Trivial Thursdays. Hey, John, let's play something from Touch. I was thinking about playing A Title Comes. Does that work?
Let's do it.
Okay. Anything you want to say about it before we play it?
I don't think so. Let's roll it.
Okay. This is Trivial Thursdays on WRFL. Some music here from Tortoise from their newest album, the name of which escapes me at this moment.
Touch.
Oh, Touch. Right. Sorry. It's right in front of my face. And the track here is A Title Comes. We will be back with John McEntire and Matt Gibson of the Singletary Center. This is Trivial Thursdays on WRFL.
This portion of WRFL's programming is made possible in part by Logo Express. Logo Express offers custom garment embroidery and screen printing for organizations and businesses. Logo Express is located at 2348 Palumbo Drive. More information can be found at 859-266-0065. WRFL thanks Logo Express for supporting college radio.
Trivial Thursdays on WRFL. I'm your host, Mick Jeffries, and I'm here with Matt Gibson of the Singletary Center, as well as John McEntire of Tortoise. We just heard A Title Comes from the new Tortoise album, Touch, their first album in 9 years. John, thanks again for being on the show. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
After 4 years, it must be a relief to have the new record in the can.
Truly.
Is Tortoise... Is Tortoise flexible? Have you ever thought about ending Tortoise? I don't mean to ask you a Robert Fripp question like King Crimson, but like, is there ever been a need for that? Does Tortoise ever go on hiatus, kind of? Because sometimes there's a lot of time between your records, and I'm just curious if you ever take breaks or think, let's try something else for a while.
No, I mean, even though there may be long periods of inactivity, we're always ready to do more work, even in those last 9 years. I think we played a lot of shows, all over the world, in fact, up until the pandemic. And then we were active again as a live band, starting in 2021. So yeah, we're going to keep at it as long as we can. That's for sure.
Is there anything that you would say to anyone who their friend is like, hey, I'm going to see this band tonight, and they've never heard of Tortoise? And is there anything you would say to someone who's thinking about coming to the show? Yeah. About your sound or about what they might.
Yeah. Well, this is funny. We did this interview with NPR that aired over the weekend, and they cut a 30-minute interview down to 5 minutes or whatever. But I had a moment where I pulled this vocabulary word out of nowhere when the host asked, how would you describe your music to somebody who's never heard you? And I said, beguiling.
I like that, though.
Yes.
I might throw lilting in there, too.
That'll work. Yep. Beguiling.
With to bring us full circle with occasional stretches of scree and static.
Exactly.
just to keep people on their toes.
Yeah.
I think that's about it, and I'm delighted for the prospect of Tortoise coming to Lexington. John McEntire, thank you so much for chatting with us, and
absolutely.
Matt Gibson.
Yeah.
Safe travels on the way here, and I hope you get to see some people that you haven't seen in a while, some of your Kentucky pals.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. Deep roots in Kentucky.
Indeed.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to let you go. You've got some stuff to get to, I'm sure, and I appreciate your time. Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks to you both. I really appreciate it. Yeah.
You bet. We'll see you. That's Matt Gibson here from the Singletary Center, John McEntire from Tortoise. Matt, you want to mention the show details again?
Yeah, Tortoise, Movie Jail, and Jungle Boogie, Wednesday, November 12th, 7:30 at the Singletary Center. It's an all-ages show.